Noisy streets. A 1999 BMW 750 brakes silently. For robbers escape from bank. Rob 27 million, huge sums of money. I just want to get away quickly. But when the four of them were impatient, Frank, the driver, is as steady as a rock. It turns out that according to the agreement, it agreed the total weight would be 250 kilograms. One more person means not enough gas. Frank's carefully tuned shock absorbers can't get rid of the police in a chase. The final result is, everyone will be arrested by the police. In desperation, the robber made a quick decision and killed his companion. Frank presses the button to change the license plate. Before you're surrounded by police cars, press the accelerator to the bottom and start to escape quickly. Under the roar of the 12-cylinder engine, more than 300 powerful horsepower spurts out. Plus Frank's superb driving skills keep the police cars behind you out of reach. The police realized they had met their match. Hurry up and call for support, chase and intercept. But everything is under Frank's control. He deliberately faked a shot at the intersection, drive into the opposite lane and leave gracefully. Instantaneous time. Most of the police have been thrown away. However, the plan could not keep up with the changes. There is sudden temporary construction ahead of the road. Frank, who was caught in the middle, couldn't move. Suddenly an idea struck me. He stepped on the accelerator. Crazy accumulation of energy. Seize the opportunity and take off on the spot. Such an outrageous operation. The robbers in the car were stunned. To get rid of the police as soon as possible, Frank borrowed the robber's pistol, reach out and hit the fixed wrench. The car sliding down caught the pursuers by surprise. While the police are busy taking care of themselves, Frank puts the floor oil in reverse gear and starts effortlessly stand out from the encirclement. When police reinforcements arrived again, Frank has arrived at the dock as planned. Relying on precise time control, he turned sharply and passed in front of the car. Calmly get rid of all the police officers. Frank completes the order as agreed. Easily earned $10,000 in compensation. The robbers saw that he was very powerful, tried to increase the price by $10,000 and wanted another ride. Frank is not greedy. Change a license plate again. He returned to his seaside residence without stopping. Quickly clean up all traces of the car. Change the license plate for the third time to avoid exposure. A series of operations. It's like the car chase never happened. As expected, Sheriff Lauby soon came home. I've read it several times, inside and out. But there's no evidence to make an arrest. Frank just sent PL away. There was another voice on the other end of the phone. Frank comes to the pub, confirm order information with people on the street, and received an advance payment of $20,000. Early the next morning, two strong men put the package into the trunk. This trip totaled 250 kilometers. No time limit. I thought it was a good deal. Something unexpected may happen anytime. Halfway through the journey, the tire suddenly burst. What's even more annoying is, when he took the spare tire from the trunk, unexpected discovery. The package contained a living person. Due to one's own professional code, Frank suppressed his curiosity and ignored it. But after traveling hundreds of kilometers, even though he is kind, he still can't bear it. The moment you open the zipper, a young girl appeared inside. Frank cuts a small opening with a knife. A bottle of ice-cold soda is given as a thoughtful gift, and that's all he can do. I thought this move would bring cooperation. Unexpectedly, we just set off soon. There was a constant roar coming from the trunk. The woman calls herself Chichi. She has abdominal pain at the moment. Men want convenience. Frank can't help it. All I could do was take out a bundle of rope and wrap it around my neck. Avoid embarrassment and prevent Chichi from running away. But whatever you are afraid of will come. After seeing no movement for a long time, he hurried forward. I found that the haystack was already empty. Chichi finally got down the mountain with great difficulty. Naively, he underestimated Frank. On his way out, Frank has been waiting for him for a long time. He was tricked by Chichi once. Never dare to underestimate the woman in front of me again. After binding my hands and feet, I headed straight back to the top of the mountain, but I never expected it. When I looked up, I met two traffic policemen. After an awkward look at each other, two tough men want to step forward to save the beauty. Little did they know that Frank's combat power was off the charts. See Frank's strength. Chichi didn't dare to be more presumptuous. All goes well for the rest of the journey. The employer John successfully took Chichi away. Frank also got the final payment as he wished. The matter has come to an end here. Before leaving, John placed an order again. A high reward of $100,000. Hire Frank to deliver a box. Frank doesn't have many doubts. After taking the order, he drove away in a hurry. Little did I know that a huge danger was coming. When he finished his meal in the service area, when preparing to continue driving, the car exploded. Frank, who was lucky enough to survive, was instantly furious. Immediately returned the same way to take revenge. None of the younger brothers would have thought of it. A seemingly inconspicuous driver turns out to be a mighty super god of war. Complete the cleanup effortlessly. Even if the other party sends people to support, Frank still doesn't panic. With a burst of firepower, the two of them were quickly taken care of. The last whirlwind kick ended perfectly. After searching around, John was not found. Frank drove away a big Benz. Leave this place in a hurry. This trip has cost me both my wife and my troops. The valuable BMW was reduced to rubbish. He also formed a deadly feud with the gangsters. Just when he was extremely upset, Chichi suddenly appeared, make him even more speechless. It turns out that he sneaked away while Frank was fighting, hiding in the car. Frank, who was already extremely irritable, my mentality is already on the verge of collapse. He cruelly dragged Chichi out and threw her on the road. Then he stepped on the accelerator and sped off. But since ancient times, heroes have been saddened by beauties. Frank stopped after walking 100 meters. With a guilty conscience, he finally compromised. Accept your fate and take Chichi home. He decided to let Chichi stay overnight, and use a bowl of instant noodles. Successfully captured the heart of a beautiful woman. At the same time, the hospital, John came to visit his seriously injured brother. Confirm that the younger brother did not leak the secret to the police. He was so cruel that he even had murderous intentions. Suffocate my little brother to death and avoid future troubles forever. And his next target is Frank. Early the next morning, Chichi carefully prepared breakfast. I hope I can surprise Frank. But the police sergeant who suddenly visited them frightened them badly. See the policeman take out the burnt license plate. Frank quickly lied and said the car was stolen. It was Chichi who was kind enough to drive him home last night. After breakfast, I went to the police station to report the crime. Under their poor acting skills, the police didn't even see the flaw. I just checked the garage briefly and left, just when they were happy about this. The killer sent by John is already outside the door. Crazy shooting left the house riddled with holes. If the two of them hadn't dodged in time, I'm afraid it's been turned into a hornet's nest at this moment. In order to make sure nothing goes wrong, the killer. Then he took out a rocket to blow up the two people in the house. Emergency moment. They hid in the ditch. Fortunately survived the explosion. It turns out that Frank already had a backup plan. There is a set of diving equipment deep in the trench. They fled along the bottom of the sea, quietly arrived at the villa not far away. The two people who found love in adversity also sparked the spark of love. After a short rest, the two came to the police station for questioning. More than 5,000 shell casings were scattered at the scene. It's no ordinary person with such firepower. The police realize Frank is in big trouble, but Frank kept silent. There's nothing he can do. Taking advantage of the gap between Lao Bai's departure, Chichi quickly opened his computer. Enter the database to search for John's information. Get his hiding place as you wish. However, ginger is still spicy when old. The policeman left the office on purpose. Leave them a chance. Good to leave clues. Two people leaving the police station. Disagreement over next steps. Chichi plans to take the initiative to kill John. Frank advised him to keep a low profile. Now no one knows they are still alive. The less trouble, the better. It's better to change your appearance than to die. Chichi broke through the defense instantly. Hurry up and tell the truth slowly. It turns out that John's foreign trade business was fake. Secretly trafficking in people is my specialty. According to reliable information, 2 containers will arrive at the port tonight. A total of 400 people will be sold by John. Most of them are women and children. Once the transaction is completed, these 400 people will never be found again. Frank was shocked when he learned the truth. So the two raided John's company, trying to get the container number from him. Just when John was about to confess honestly, Sonny, the boss behind him, suddenly appears. Even more bloody is, Sonny is actually Chichi's biological father. It turned out that after Chichi discovered his activities, in order to prevent him from getting in the way, then Frank was hired to send him to the villa to look after him. Little did he know that something unexpected had happened. Sonny knew that Chichi didn't dare to shoot, so he put the gun to Frank's head, forcing the kind-hearted man to surrender his arms. Fortunately, the police chief arrived with his men. John could only knock Frank unconscious, framing Frank for kidnapping Chichi for blackmail. The police naturally don't believe the other party's story, but there is no evidence. We can only take Frank back to the police station for detention first. It's also a disguised form of protection for him. When Frank wakes up, the police act with emotion and reason with others. Finally learn the cause and effect of the incident. But before we find conclusive evidence, he can't arrest John and Sonny against the rules. The only way now, only Frank can be sent to stop the transaction. The police thought for a while and came up with a clever plan. He pretended that he was being held hostage by Frank. Order his men to put down their weapons. With the tacit cooperation of the two, Frank escaped successfully and came to the beach. After taking out weapons and equipment from the boat, he rushed to the dock without stopping. Under cover of night, Frank saw Sonny and others were about to leave. Just as he was about to step forward to stop him, he was discovered. He had no choice but to shoot and reveal his position. Seeing that the younger brothers are having a hard time dealing with Frank, John personally attacked from behind. Frank was unprepared and fell heavily to the ground. John, who thought he had Frank figured out, only 4 boys were sent to finish the work. Although the opponent has the advantage in the number of people holding the equipment, but Frank is not foolhardy. He cleverly used container doors, separate enemies on both sides, then focus your firepower to defeat them one by one. Wait until he finishes taking care of his little brother. Just in time for the convoy to leave the dock, Frank gives full run up. Leap high with all your strength, hanging on the container to the extreme. However, it didn't take long. The driver noticed something strange in the carriage, so he swerved and hit the billboard. Frank was forced to leave. Soon we were blocked at the bus stop by a large number of people, although there are many people on the other side, but almost all combat power is very low. Until he was walking through the garage, just met a decent big guy. After a fight, there is no difference between the two, but Frank is small and flexible, find a way to win quickly. When the two men were fighting fiercely, another wave of boys appears with sticks in hand. In desperation, Frank kicked the oil, make the entire ground difficult to stand on. The younger brothers had no time to react and slipped to the ground one after another. Frank then poured engine oil on his body. Shirtless, he looks like a loach. Even if the opponent is surrounded by many people, it will be of no avail. Frank uses his strength to kick hard, sliding to the sidelines, squeeze hard enough to break off a pair of leggings on the bicycle, with the support of foot muffs. Instantly increased combat power. Wait until more thugs arrive. Frank slides quickly to avoid bullets. By the way, I can use my big body to resist a wave of injuries. Finally, he jumped into the sea without any danger. He drained the big man of all the remaining oxygen, dodged the fire from the shore. Don't dare to delay at all to pursue Sonny and the others. But at this time the two sides were already far apart. Just when Frank is at a loss what to do, suddenly I saw a plane spraying pesticides. So I immediately looked for the track and followed it. He smiled and stepped forward, showing his pistol. The farmer has no choice but to cooperate. After just half an hour's flight, the two of them successfully flew over the convoy. Frank jumped down with a parachute on his back. After opening the parachute, it accurately landed on the container, and the umbrella bag he threw away casually, just blocking the view of the car behind you. Take advantage of the truck driver not paying attention. Frank flew into the cockpit with a flying kick. The driver was caught off guard and hung on the door. After several twists and turns, the car door actually fell off. Sonny watched everything from behind. Let John catch up and take back the truck. John attacked from the passenger seat unexpectedly. Unexpectedly, Frank had already noticed it. The two men fought fiercely in the cockpit. In the chaos, John pulled the emergency brake. Frank was thrown out by inertia, unstable center of gravity. John took the opportunity to kick him away hard. Fortunately, Frank caught the chassis and was fine. Upon seeing this, Sonny immediately approached with a gun. Keep shooting at the bottom of the car, to take his life. Fortunately I had a cross sleeve on hand. Frank picks up and aims at the driver. Just a critical hit. Turn danger into safety. Help yourself out of trouble. Relying on the extraordinary endurance of both arms, Frank quickly climbed onto the roof of the car from the side, launched a desperate counterattack against John in the car. John was seriously injured and could no longer fight, being thrown out of the car by Frank, instantly crushed into pulp. After a lot of life and death, finally parked the truck on the side of the road. Unexpectedly, I just breathed a sigh of relief. The lingering Sonny actually chased him. He didn't kill Frank directly. Instead, he pushed him all the way to the edge of the cliff. Want to humiliate severely? Let him be smashed to pieces again. Little did he know that the moment he fired, Frank was unharmed. He himself was punched through the chest. Chichi arrived in time. Kill relatives for justice. Ended his father's sinful life with his own hands. The end of the movie. The police sergeant rushed to the scene. 400 people in the container were rescued, and Frank was cleared of all charges. We'll continue to bring new adventure stories.